I spent 27 days begging my ex to come back. She chose her coworker instead, so I thanked her. 1 year later, she called me sobbing that he cheated, but the conversation we had after that ended every illusion she ever had about me. Or herself. I spent 27 days trying to win back a woman who had already decided I wasn't enough. Not that she ever said it outright. No, she preferred the slow, suffocating kind of detachment, the kind where she replied, "okay," to paragraphs, where she canceled dates with "busy," where she looked past me like she was scanning for exits I couldn't see. And like an idiot, I thought I could fix it. I brought flowers to her job. I wrote her letters she never opened. I memorized every apology she never asked for. I drove across the city at 2 a.m. because she said she missed me but wasn't ready to talk. I stayed, even when she didn't. Day 14, I asked, "Is there someone else?" She didn't answer. She just smiled, that guilty little half smile like she was wishing I hadn't asked. I knew, but I kept going. Day 27 was the day I stopped being a fool. I showed up at her apartment with the last thing I had left, a small box with a silver bracelet she once pointed at in a store window. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't a proposal. Just a symbol that I still believed in us. She opened the door wearing lipstick she never wore for me anymore. Perfume I didn't recognize. An address I knew wasn't chosen for my benefit. Her eyes avoided mine the whole time. "Look," she said, voice shaking in that way people do when they're choosing the words they hope will hurt the least. "I need to tell you something." I nodded. I already knew. She took a breath. "I've been talking to someone at work." I didn't say anything. We've been getting close. I still didn't say anything. "And I'm choosing him." There it was. 27 days. All those flowers. All those letters. All the late-night drives and desperate, stupid hope. And the whole time, she was drifting towards somebody who didn't even know my name. I think she expected me to cry, or plead, or fight for her one more time. Instead, I said, "Thank you." She blinked. "What? Thank you?" I repeated. She looked confused, offended, almost angry, like I'd messed up her rehearsed breakup moment. "Why are you thanking me?" she demanded. I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time in a year, I felt something unfamiliar, clarity. "Because," I said quietly, "you just freed me." Her mouth dropped open. I turned around, walked down the hallway, and didn't look back even once. I didn't hear her shut the door. I didn't hear her call my name. I didn't hear anything except my own heartbeat, steady, calm, alive. I went home, blocked her number, deleted our photos, and sat in silence until sunrise. For the first time in months, I felt peace. But life has a strange sense of humor. Because exactly 1 year later, at 11:43 p.m. on a Wednesday night, her name lit up my phone. Calling. Not texting. Calling. I stared at the screen, confused. That woman, the one who left me, had not contacted me once in 12 months. Not for closure. Not for friendship. Not for guilt. Nothing. And yet now she was calling me with the kind of desperation you can hear even before you pick up. I answered. Her voice was shaking. "He cheated on me." And that was only the beginning of what she was about to confess. When I picked up that call, I expected tears. I expected anger. I expected maybe even an apology. What I didn't expect was the sound of someone completely hollowed out. "Are you there?" she whispered. "Yes." She breathed shakily, like the words were knives inside her throat. "He cheated on me," she said again, slower this time, like she needed me to feel the weight of it. "With someone from work. Someone younger." I didn't respond. I let the silence stretch, the way she once let mine. I thought you'd understand," she added. "You were always the one who listened." That sentence alone told me everything about the last 12 months of her life. She didn't call her boyfriend. She didn't call her friends. She didn't call her family. She called the man she left, because she knew he was the only one who ever cared enough to pick up. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked calmly. There was a long pause. Then a small, pathetic sound, half laugh, half sob. "Because I don't have anyone else." Her words hit harder than any insult ever could. I could picture her standing in that apartment, the one she moved into right after leaving me. The one she decorated with new curtains and new plants and new everything, as if fresh furniture could erase guilt. I imagined her mascara running, her hands shaking, her chest tight with humiliation. The perfect year she traded us for had finally cracked open. "I'm not asking you to take me back," she said quickly. I needed someone who actually loved me." I swallowed. Once, those words would have broken me. Once, I would have driven across the city without shoes if she asked. But that man died somewhere around day 27. I did love you, I said. Too much, probably. I know, she whispered. I know you did. I threw away the only person who ever treated me right. She started crying harder. He told me I was lucky to have someone like you before him. He said it while he was breaking up with me. Another brutal, honest detail she didn't mean to reveal. He said, I should have stayed with you. That one cut the deepest. Not because it hurt me now, but because I remembered how badly I would have needed to hear it back then. Can we talk? She asked. I don't mean get back together or anything. I need closure. I need to explain. Explain what? Explain why she kissed her coworker behind my back while I wrote her letters? Explain why she let me chase her for 27 days while planning dates with someone else? Explain why she told me she needed space while she was busy filling it with another man? No, no explanations were needed. I don't think that's a good idea, I said. She sucked in a breath like she'd been punched. Are you serious? Her voice cracked. After everything, after all those years, you can't give me one conversation? I almost laughed. One conversation was all I ever begged for. One honest moment. One chance for her to choose me. Now she was the one begging. I gave you 27 days, I said softly. You gave me none. She went silent. Completely silent. It was the kind of silence people get when they suddenly see themselves clearly, without excuses, without stories, without denial. A mirror with no cracks left to hide behind. I'm sorry, she whispered finally. I nodded, even though she couldn't see it. I know you are, I said. And I meant it. But apologies don't rewind life. And regret isn't love. Good night, I told her. Please don't hang up, she choked. Please. I don't want to be alone. But I did hang up. And for the first time in a very, very long time. I didn't feel guilty. Update point 3 days passed after I hung up on her. 3 days of silence, which felt strange after the emotional hurricane of that phone call. I thought she'd try again. I thought she'd text. Show up. Something. But she didn't. Until she did, in the most unexpected way possible. It started on a Wednesday evening. I just finished cleaning up after dinner when my phone buzzed. Not a number I recognized. No name saved. Just a message. Hey, this is going to sound weird, but I think we should talk. It's about her. At first I thought it was spam. Then he sent his name. The coworker. The man she'd left me for. The man she'd spent months telling everyone was her healthy choice. The man she claimed understood her better. My stomach tightened. I stared at the name for a long moment, debating whether to ignore it. Then he sent another message. You don't owe me anything, but I think you deserve to know what was happening behind your back. Behind my back? I almost laughed. He was the reason I had a back to begin with. She'd torn out everything in front. My first instinct was anger. My second was humiliation. But my third was curiosity. So I called. He picked up on the first ring. He sounded tired, exhausted, older than he had any right to. Thanks for calling, he said quietly. I know this is awkward. What do you want? I kept my voice flat. A clean conscience, he answered immediately. No hesitation. That caught me off guard. I found out things, he continued, about how she handled everything with you, about the stories she told me, told our coworkers. I said nothing. I let him talk. She told us you were controlling, he said, that you threatened her, that you guilt-tripped her with gifts, the flowers, the letters, everything. She told us you were unstable. I closed my eyes. Of course she had. It explained the way her friends used to look at me after the breakup. The way some people at her office seemed awkward around me the one time I stopped by. The way her family acted strangely sympathetic, like I was a wounded animal that needed careful handling. She said you wouldn't let her leave you, he added. That you were stalking her. I almost laughed out loud at the absurdity. Me, the guy who'd been begging like an idiot while she disappeared into someone else's arms. He kept talking. She didn't tell me the truth until last month, he said. And even then, she twisted it. What truth? I asked. He hesitated, then sighed. That she cheated on you with me. There it was. The final puzzle piece I'd known existed, but never forced myself to look at directly. She made it sound like you two were already practically done, he added quickly, like he needed me to know he wasn't entirely the villain. She told me she'd been unhappy for years, that you were suffocating her, that she stayed out of guilt. I didn't interrupt. I didn't defend myself. I didn't even react. Because I didn't need to. I already lived every version of that lie. She used us both, he said finally. She needed you to chase her, so she felt wanted. She needed me to give her an escape. When she got bored of me, she started chasing validation somewhere else. Validation. That word hit harder than betrayal. He went quiet. Then he said something I never expected. She needs help. Real help. Not another boyfriend. Not another person to emotionally drain. I don't know if she's actually malicious or just broken, but man, he breathed heavily. I think she's dangerous in the way people who don't know themselves are dangerous. I didn't know what to say. He added, look, I'm not asking forgiveness. I just wanted to be honest. For my own sanity, if nothing else. And then, the part that surprised me most. You were right to walk away from her. I wish I had. There was nothing left to say. We exchanged a few more polite words and hung up. I sat there afterward, staring at the wall, feeling something strange. Not anger, not grief, not betrayal, just distance. Like the version of her I'd been mourning wasn't even a real person. Just a collage she'd created from whatever emotion she wanted to feel in the moment. I thought that would be the end of it. But that night, at 2:17 a.m., she texted me. A long, rambling, desperate paragraph that started with, I heard you talk to him. Please don't believe everything he says. I can explain. And ended with, I need you. I made a mistake. Please don't shut me out. A year ago, that message would have destroyed me. Now, now it felt like a notification from an app I'd already deleted. Final update that I didn't answer her 2:17 a.m. message. Not because I wanted to hurt her. Not because I wanted to win. But because the part of me that once needed answers didn't need anything anymore. The next morning, she didn't text. She called. 7 times before noon. I stayed silent. Around 5 p.m., there was a knock at my door. Not frantic. Not loud. Just soft. Like she wanted to pretend this was normal. I opened it halfway. She looked nothing like the woman who left me a year ago. Her eyes were swollen. Her makeup smudged. Her posture collapsed inward. Can we talk? She whispered. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. She flinched at that. She noticed what it meant. She was no longer someone I would let inside my life or my home. You talked to him, she said quietly. He twisted everything. You know how he is. You know he lies. I kept my expression neutral. What exactly did he lie about? She opened and closed her mouth a few times, like a fish gasping for air. That we, that I, that anything happened before we ended, she blurted out. I just watched her. She avoided my eyes. Her voice trembled. I only kissed him after we were done. I swear. Everything else. Stop, I said. She froze. You cheated. The timeline doesn't matter anymore. Her throat bobbed. For a moment, she looked like she was going to argue, to deny, to twist the narrative again. But something in my tone finally cut through all of the illusions she had been feeding herself for a year. She sank down on the porch step and put her head in her hands. I messed everything up, she whispered. I hurt someone who loved me more than anyone ever will. And I don't even know why. I wanted attention. I wanted to feel something. I wanted someone to tell me I was worth choosing. Her voice broke. I never thought you'd actually walk away. I thought. She laughed bitterly. I thought you'd always be waiting. That was the truth buried under all the lies. Not malice. Not hatred. Just arrogance. And fear. And selfishness. I'm not here to punish you, I told her. But I'm not coming back. She looked up at me with shattered eyes. I don't want a relationship, she said quickly, desperate. Not even that. Please. I need you in my life. As a friend. As something. I don't have anyone else. I let out a slow breath. That sentence, that exact sentence, was the reason people like her never change. She didn't want me. She wanted what I provided. Stability. Reassurance. The safety net she thought she'd always have. And I realized something in that moment. If I stayed, even as a friend, I'd spend the next decade being her emergency exit, her emotional backup plan, her comfort when the world punished her for choices she made knowingly. I can't be that for you, I said gently. She shook her head, tears spilling. Please, please just don't leave me alone. I'm not leaving you alone, I said. You left yourself alone a long time ago. I can't fix that for you. She covered her mouth and sobbed. Real, painful, heavy sobs. The kind that belong to someone who finally realizes that consequences aren't theoretical. I stood there until her crying slowed. Then she wiped her face, stood up, and whispered, You really don't love me anymore. It wasn't a question. And for the first time since she left me for another man. I felt no anger, no longing, no ache, just honesty. No, I said softly. I don't. She nodded, like the words punched through all her remaining defenses. Goodbye, she whispered. Goodbye. She walked down my driveway slowly, trembling, looking back once. Not for another chance, but because she could finally see what she'd destroyed and what she could never rebuild. Aftermath, 1 year later. It took time for the dust to settle, for both of us. I went to therapy for 6 months, not because I missed her, but because I'd spent too long chasing someone who never planned to choose me. I started dating again, slowly, carefully, with boundaries I never had before. I learned to enjoy silence, my own company, my own worth without someone else's approval. As for her, I heard from a mutual friend that she moved away. New city, new job, new attempt at a new identity. But the friend added something else. She finally admitted everything. To her family, to her coworkers, to everyone. Apparently the affair, the lies, the stories she told about me, it all eventually collapsed. And in some strange way, I think she's finally facing herself for the first time in her life. Not with me as her emotional life jacket. Not with another boyfriend as a distraction. Not with attention or validation. Just her. And maybe that's the closest thing to redemption she'll ever get. Closure. People think closure is a conversation, a confession, a final moment of honesty. It's not. Closure is the quiet morning when you wake up, make coffee, stand in your kitchen, and realize you are no longer carrying someone else's chaos. You're free, not because they let you go, not because they apologized, not because things worked out, but because you chose yourself. After years of choosing someone who never chose you back. And that is the happiest ending I could have asked for.